So you're wondering how to let things go, right? Yeah, everybody's always talking about let it go, let it go. Well, how do I do it? I want to do it, but how do I do it? Well, I'm gonna make it make sense. But hi, this is Marissa with Marissa Moments. So what I received to share with you is the main tagline: feel it to heal it, right? God has put me in a space of confrontation, but not in like a negative way, right? Not in a negative connotation, which is funny because it rhymes with confrontation. But anyway, it's in order to address the things head on in a healthy, safe manner. Now, what does that look like? It looks like different things to different people. It can mean going to therapy. So that way you can have kind of essentially like a healthy sounding board that will serve as a reflection for you and at the same time give you tools in order to mend whatever it is that you feel is broken, right? The things that you feel like need fixing. And I'm putting air quotes on all of these things because we're not broken. We don't need to be fixed, all of those things, but we do need to heal, right? That is something that is essential. However, the necessity for healing does not equate to brokenness. It does not equate to being less than or anything like that. But getting back to the main subject, letting go. What I also received to share with you is a lot of us out here will continue to talk about the things that we no longer resonate with, right? We're talking about that breakup from 10 years ago and doing check-ins on our exes, right? To say, man, I saw so-and-so the other day at the store, or maybe you even have friends who do check-ins for you, right? So even as you're trying to attempt to grow forward from whatever it is that wound is, something in you is saying, I must tether myself back there because I am not worthy of moving forward. Now that is a subconscious notion, right? So what we do in those instances is we continue to have the same conversation over and over and over to the point where people don't even necessarily want to talk to us anymore because they know, oh, I know they're going to be talking about David. They're going to be talking about David again. And if the David is real for you, then it's real for you. And if your name is David, no shade, no nothing. That was just the name that came to my heart, right? And, or, even if it's not even in reference to a relationship that was unhealthy, right? Because when it comes to those things, I got to revisit it because God was like, okay, let's not let that go quite yet. When it comes to continuously revisiting an unhealthy relationship of the past, that's just a reminder to us internally that we need to heal that part of us that resonated with that toxicity, that resonated with that feeling less than, or being put on the back burner, or being treated like what I hear is basura, right? Like garbage, right? We need to heal that part, but that healing doesn't necessarily come from continuously going over and over and over every single aspect of that relationship. It comes from focusing on the center of the onion that needs to be healed. And by working on our healing, that is a process of letting go in and of itself. When we start off on this journey, when I started off on this journey, man, the anger, the resentment, the angst, the everything. When I would share a story of something that I've experienced, I would do it with a snarled lip. And I can't believe, and then they, and then they, and then they, and because I was hanging on to it, right? I was living in that moment. It was almost like I was being fueled from that anger and that rage and that resentment and all of those things. And that was what was keeping me going. And it wasn't until I started to turn around and face it and own my part of it, and then own even more of my part in it in the healing aspect, and then releasing other people by forgiveness. You hear that notion all the time. Forgive them is not about them. It's about you. It's about healing yourself. It's about cutting that tether that constantly connects us to the traumas of our past, right? It's so that we can give ourselves the freedom to no longer resonate with that place and space of where that trauma took place. That was a lot of rhyming. Anyway, we're talking about letting go. We're talking about no longer talking about it if it no longer affects you? Why would we continue to have a conversation about a pen when we got rid of it, right? So we don't need to talk about that pen anymore because it's gone. And that's letting it go. Now I'm gonna have to pick that pen up because I just threw it on the floor, but I needed to give you that illustration. It's about releasing things. It's about creating space. Whoa, that was a huge stutter. Creating space. And that must be something that I still struggle with. It is something that I still struggle with in terms of creating space between, within relationships that no longer serve in a healthy manner. There is nothing wrong with creating space. And again, that's not to say that you have to cut people off or you have to do all these things. No, know yourself well enough to know where you are in your healing process, to know what you can tolerate or what will have a negative impact on your healing. If you have a relationship with someone and you know it's going to be lifelong, one, you shouldn't have a problem with creating a little bit of space and saying, I need this space in order to heal, right? Because that's just healthy, right? So then that way, maybe they're working on their healing in the interim. You're working on your healing. When you meet back up, healed, healed, healed. Look at that. Prayer hands. Look at that. That just happened. Or just creating space to say, I no longer resonate with this person's energy because they are... Okay, Lord, because I do not wish to be reverted back to a place and space that no longer resonates with me. You see what God had me do right there? It was taking the onus off of the other person. It was no longer placing blame, but more so taking ownership, right? And in that sense, I took claim to my power. That's my crown right there. Do you see it? Anyway, how do we let go? We seek help. We seek help. We heal. We feel. We allow ourselves permission to release in peace. And healing and releasing and all of these things looks different for everyone. There is no cookie cutter version. The world trains us up to feel like we need to have a step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I get that because that's my personality as well. But in reality, we have to feel it as we go. We have to allow ourselves permission to make mistakes, to have those moments of reversion in order to have that moment of clarity to say, no, I'm not healed enough to be in this person's presence. Or I am healed enough to be in this person's presence and maybe I have the opportunity to bring them up a little bit more. But again, it's not about being better than, less than, anything like that. It's about feeling into yourself. It's about putting yourself in a space of allowance. It's about operating through faith and not fear. It's about all of these different affirmations that you've probably heard, but you just haven't begun to apply. So bottom line is get into a space of application. Start by taking a single step. And it sounds cliche, but the first step is that acknowledgement that you need help, that you need healing, that you do wish to release these people, places, things, experiences, etc. And that is what will open the doors and allow your steps to be revealed as to where you're going to go next. And also with the understanding that it's not even going to look like you're healing. The only time you're going to recognize that you're healing is when you get to a place of a safety checkpoint in your life and you can turn back and say, wow, I did that. Look at how far I've come. Now, I'm not speaking just based off of a textbook. I'm speaking based off of experience and divine channeled information that comes to my heart to share with you. Remember, take everything as it resonates. That's why there's so many different facets to this singular video, because that way it can touch many different people in many different ways, because your message is not the same as their message. Okay. So hopefully that helps. I'm going to continue to share as God compels me to share. I'm diving into a new aspect and trajectory of Marissa Moments, and you will see it coming soon. But anyway, again, thank you for watching. Apples and tomatoes, all the things. Happy healing, and bye.